I just think it's awesome to just hit it straight. All those people would be like, oh, you can't hit it straight. How many straight shots have you hit?
Yeah.
And then I would say, well, if you're trying to hit a 5-yard draw, how hard is that? That's just as hard as straight.
That's also hard.
Let's do a bell curve of shot shape on tour. Well, it actually is a normal distribution. If you have the club shallow enough, and then it's rotating so it's outside in, you're actually gonna have the handle push back closer to your body as the club releases like this.
Today, we're gonna figure out how to choose a shot shape for your golf swing. And secondly, how to practice so those swing changes you're trying to make actually make it out to the golf course during a tournament.
Release it earlier here.
Okay.
Get your path a little bit more left. Then you'll have a much better chance to get your handle low left and feel like this at impact.
Last episode, I got an awesome lesson from Dr. Benoit. He helped me figure out what's wrong with my swing, what I need to work on, and a drill and swing thought to help me play better in my next tournament.
A bit of steepness right there.
Yeah.
There's a bit of just underplane element here where you basically probably drop a little bit too much inside out and the handle just raises a touch.
Always had a high, steep, high handle.
Today, we're taking all of that and putting into practice a training plan and some mindsets that I need to remember next time I'm at a tournament. Make sure to check out the sponsor of today's episode, Huel.
Huel Black Edition contains all the nutrients the human body needs, including the right amount of proteins, essential fats, carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, and minerals as part of a balanced diet. Huel is just a great, affordable, convenient solution.
Go to Huel.com/GolfWell15.
Okay, let's talk shot shape. So with my current swing where it's steep, high handle, I mean, that's like a push draw, right?
Yeah, so your good ones are probably what, 5-yard draws?
Yeah.
And it's not like that wouldn't work, but we know you're trying to get a lower rate of closure. You want to get the path a little more left and lower the handle. Those are the goals.
Yep.
So I think your plan is to overdo it a lot in practice.
Yep.
If you get your path -3 on a driver, and you're maybe -1 and a 7, that I think would be like pretty much the goal.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Good, and then when I go play, I'm just gonna aim. I should just aim straight.
Yeah,
I shouldn't try to do anything.
Probably gonna be pretty straight.
Which kind of goes against convention, right? Like everyone is always, I don't know, like, choose, all right, what shot shape are you trying to hit?
You know me.
It's like an intro question.
I just think it's awesome to just hit it straight. and here's the thing, like, I'm gonna go into like, all those people would be like, oh, you can't hit it straight. How many straight shots have you hit?
Yeah.
And then I would say, well, if you're trying to hit a 5-yard draw, how hard is that? That's just as hard as straight.
That's also hard.
It's just as hard.
Yep.
As we record this, it is 12:48 p.m. I have not eaten lunch. So that's where today's sponsor comes in. Huel. Lunches are a bit tough sometimes. And so on a day like today, this comes in quite handy. That's really good. So I've actually been a customer of Huel's because lunch is a struggle for me. So it's fun that they would sponsor this video, kind of partner with me, and I can actually refer it to you guys and offer a discount code. We got GolfWell15, gets you 15% off, which is a great deal. Here's what you need to know. This is the black edition. They have these ones which are already pre-made, which are awesome. I like having these in the fridge just because you never know when you got to run out the door to a meeting, grab it, and you're good to go. Otherwise, got the powder as well. You throw this in the shaker. This is really handy. I have these around all the time as well if you need that, but this right here, quite good. So here's what I recommend. Go grab these ready to drink options, throw them in the fridge and try it out. See if it helps you. Maybe it's pre-round, maybe it's lunch at work, and see what you think, because I think you will like it and start getting addicted to having these every day. Huel.com/GolfWell15, save 15%. Appreciate them sponsoring this episode of GolfWell.
It's all about dispersion. Some people like to see it curve one way or the other.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
You think you can be just as consistent hitting it straight as you can with a draw or with a fade?
I mean, if I go back to, you want to go whiteboard for 1 second?
Let's whiteboard for a sec.
Okay, let's do a bell curve of shot shape on tour, shall we?
Sure.
Have you ever looked at this?
No.
So this DataGolf did this one, and,
okay.
And it's out there. So here's the bell curve of curve.
Yeah.
So what do you know, first of all, it actually is a normal distribution.
Really?
So what you would expect, based on how people think about it, is you would see a bimodal. Why? Because they would avoid 0, because all the teachers are saying don't hit it straight.
Right.
Bullshit.
There's a lot, this is all straight?
It is normal, right? So now here's the thing, on driver particularly, The whole thing kind of bends a little bit. It's about negative 1.3 or something like that.
Okay.
So they're basically curving the ball left to right. There's more fades off the tee.
Okay.
And then right around here would be 0. So there's a lot of guys at 0.
Yep.
And then on this side, there's guys that are drawing it.
How do we equate? I was thinking about that lately, though, of how, like, yeah, Rory and Bryson, the 2 best drivers of the ball right now.
Yeah.
Both draw it.
Yeah.
But everyone's saying that I should fade it.
Yeah.
With
You
the driver.
definitely can. But the thing that Rory and Bryson do really well is they release it extremely early. It is extremely wide, right? And so if you think about the physics of release, if you want to should we get deep dive
Let's
on
go,
this?
yeah, sure.
So if you think about the physics of release, I'll grab a driver. If you have the club shallow enough, and then it's rotating so it's outside in, you're actually going to have the handle push back closer to your body as the club releases like this. And so you literally see a lower face closure, particularly on long clubs when you're hitting more fades.
Wow.
Okay? So when you're inside out, which you already know, you'll tend to see the lead arm come off the chest, and you also see the handle raise up, and then we see that flipping action. That's why you see more guys on tour hitting fades. Now, what does Bryson do? And Rory, to some degree, that makes them kind of special. Although, what's different about Rory now? He's not hitting as many draws.
Is he not?
Fading his driver a lot more than he used to. But Bryson, for sure, it's so wide that he has the advantage of the club comes back close to his body.
Sure. So it is about keeping the handle close to the body, though, and not getting it away from that. Okay.
You want a mad scientist view of where the game might be going?
Yeah, please.
Okay. If you think about if you played with a more closed stance, going back to the kickstand drill, what would that do? It would help you, like, I need some optics here. If I'm straight, this would be a 0 stance. If I'm set up more like this.
Here we go, let's do this. Throw those down.
So if I have, this is my straight. If I'm aiming like this gives me more time to release it. And I can actually use the vertical, because that's my way to do it, and I can release the club like this. And I don't have as much issue with the handle raising up. And how many good players tend to have fast hips, fast shoulders, let the club drop under? It's pretty much humans. That's how humans do it.
I always thought the opposite. I always thought that to combat that, I'd have to open up so I could freely release it and keep it.
I think you want fast hips. I just don't think you want fast shoulders. Fast shoulders make your lean pretty forward, raise the handle.
So there could be a world where people are just kind of hitting like this, and it's easier.
I think we're going to see more like smart biomechanics people favor that, because that's kind of how it makes it easier to release the club for driver. And you can still hit fades for sure, but it's going to feel over the top. It's going to feel like Sam Snead. It's going to feel like, like you ever see Ben Hogan and his images in his book? What did he do with his stance on driver?
He was close.
He aimed close too. So it's like a Hovland. Aim right, come over the top and release it, and your handle gets closer to your body.
Interesting.
Now that is not for everybody listening. That's for people with really fast hips and fast shoulders that tend to have this underplaying and late release problem.
Which is a lot of us juniors that tried to hit it swung out of our shoes. And
this is competitive players under 5 and a lot of junior golfers. This is a common issue.
And that's where it came from, right? Like that's where I got it. And I think there's probably a lot like me growing up if we swung like that and just have struggled to get rid of it.
And what you mentioned this thing about long drivers. What are they all doing? Like they are just hammering the vertical really early. And you said you talked to Blackburn about it. Like it's almost too hard to get to the vertical too early, isn't it?
Right. Because what I've noticed is like visually, not on a force plate, but like visually when I'm doing a drive, my lead foot's still on the ground at impact. And you look at any long drive guys, they're in the air at impact, right? So it's like, okay, they've jumped earlier than I have. So it's visually even obvious.
So different.
So you like this idea, maybe there's something with the closed stance that you can get that early.
It really is interesting to see how much it affects, especially if you go into that lead toe, how much you'll react and push out of it and get the vertical earlier.
What about though, like that thing that I didn't like where I'm going like that on the back?
The head going down?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're losing the ability to kind of like get high, get down. There's a lack of recentering that's probably helpful, right?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So just staying centered, and then, gosh,
you toy around with it.
As you can tell, Luke is one of the most innovative coaches out there. Honestly, I love chatting with him and kind of learning what he's thinking about. Something that you should learn is his 7-step framework to changing your golf swing. We have a PDF kind of linked up down below. It's super easy to follow and gives you kind of step-by-step instructions that you can go through. It's totally different than how we've traditionally been taught to change your swing technique. So check it out, links down below.
let's get back to the lesson.
We turned it into an external cue drill, and I said, all right, so this would be kind of, you know, here's where your tee is going to be. You're going to try to feel like you're releasing it here, and you're going to pop the vertical to make it release there, and then arms back close.
That makes sense. Yeah. So I'm going here, swinging back, and I want it to go like that.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. And the more you can turn going back, the earlier it should be. You should be able to unload it.
I bet that looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
On video.
Yeah. Get one on. We'll see.
Should we get a video of that? Let's get a video of that, Luke.
Let's do it.
Tell me when.
Yep. Fire away. Nice.
I don't even know if I dumped it that early.
Yeah. So kind of going back into right here, you probably don't need to dip forward that early.
Okay.
So you'd want to have that
one?
a little bit. Watch how the head goes a little forward right there. See the head moving forward?
Yeah.
So you could stay taller here.
Yeah.
And then very aggressively go over the lead toe, because it's all about that lead toe so you can push off of it. So this is when you'd want to get way down over it, and then you can push out of it. But the handle's staying a little lower.
That looks great.
Yeah, and the lead leg is really easy to pop.
Yep.
Because there's nothing else you can do.
Yeah, I'm still hanging on too much too.
Yeah.
You can dump it earlier.
Yeah, you can dump it earlier. It's crazy how early you can release it.
Yeah. Is this common? Is this like people watching? How common is this that people can release it earlier?
It's kind of a low handicap thing generally.
Okay.
But there's so many even 10 handicaps that really just don't have any idea on this either.
Well, because I mean, we always hear hold the leg, right? That's like
yes.
So
which is starting to unwind, right? And you know, like I've said this before, but if you shallow the club reasonably well, and you keep your chest down and you have your hands close, shaft lean is really easy.
Okay.
It's really hard to have a casting movement with this combination. If you're here, good luck casting it.
Got it. Man, we're figuring some things out.
Yeah, this is a little deeper than we thought.
Yeah, this is great. This is fun. This is fun. People are gonna love this. Okay. Where do we want to go next in our lesson?
So just like for people that actually want to train it, big thing, get video going.
Okay.
Speed train with these moves.
Okay.
And if you speed train with these moves, you will kind of embed them into your swing pattern. Because really what you want is more like, okay, I'm going to go play golf and I'm going to see the target and I'm going to react. And swinging fast and creating a pattern that's built on low load and just basically a lot of volume is actually pretty transferable.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You just over and over, you just get pop that, release, pop that, release. Do a lot of speed training that way, rip a lot of drivers that way. And foam balls are fantastic because you don't care where they're going.
Right. There you go, Luke.
How's that feel?
That was actually really good. Oh, it was a high, well-struck fade. I like that. Okay, so we've got the swing feel, which I've just demonstrated works fantastically.
Yep.
What was that? 172 8-iron? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go practice this feel.
Yeah.
That's gonna be, inside, but eventually I gotta get on the range here and hit some shots. Let's talk about practice.
We're talking about practice.
Let's talk about transferring a swing feel from the range to the course.
Yeah. So we're doing this thing with RYP Research, which I'm really excited about, which would help you basically learn how to aim on the golf course. And I want to talk about alignment runs because a lot of people stand them out here and they think that's going to help them aim.
Yep.
What's your experience with alignment? Does it feel like it sticks really well from the range to the golf course?
No. I'm passionate about this though. I like this topic. And I love awareness drills of I think they're critical. I think I'm often my problem is alignment, but I have to practice weird to try to actually figure out how to get it to the course.
Yeah. So there's so many layers. Number one would be if you're standing here and you're not even thinking and you're just like this and you don't engage your eyes and your target, it does nothing for you.
Which I do a lot. I think we all do a lot.
So I think if you're going to use alignment, your goal should be engage your target out there or use an intermediate target and kind of get in the routine of seeing your target and lining up well.
Yep.
And then I'm going to give you a sports analogy, think about Anthony Edwards or Steph Curry, when they're shooting, how is their alignment when they're moving around in space? And are their feet the same way every time? And does it impact their shooting that much?
No.
So
their feet are all over the place, right?
It's crazy. Now they're pretty good about getting them in the same range, but of course they're not.
Yeah.
And I think one thing to think about is what I call building the skill mountain.
Okay.
It's okay to actually not be perfect with alignment as long as you know how to hit shots. And so, if you got Uncle Jimmy's gun, and Uncle Jimmy's gun always aims 5 degrees right.
Yeah.
Can a kid learn how to aim that gun?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. And so here's one thing I will say patently. If you're bad at alignment, using alignment rods all the time is not the way out of it.
Okay.
It's really not. And understand that the most important thing going into the tournament would be to aim well. And if you're consistently aimed a little right or left, we're fine.
Yeah.
It actually can work really well.
Okay.
And you know, before people actually used alignment rods 40, 50 years ago, they could still aim.
Yep.
Okay, so going into tournament, get rid of that.
Okay.
Okay? And start hitting shots. And
Okay.
if you're a little right or you're a little left, that's okay, but just make sure it's pretty consistent and check it.
Okay.
So, like if I said, all right, aim at that shed, Corey, let's go ahead and aim over at that shed.
All right. Well, so the process on the course, right, is like do one of these, find a spot,
Yeah.
and then club face, line up.
Nice. You all
and
set?
then- Yeah.
Okay, so you doing this on your own, you just put the club down at your toes if you got an alignment rod. So come back and take a look.
God, I think my club's wide open.
Okay. Is that surprising?
That's great. That was really good there. I'm awesome.
What did you notice?
It's wide open.
Yeah.
Right?
You're way left of where you thought.
Goodness
Yeah.
sakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now here's where it's interesting. Some people you do this on aim at the left side of the range, and then you aim at the right side of the range, and it's completely different.
Sure.
So let's aim at the guy that's farthest on the right side of the range.
Okay. All right. I'm not gonna make any adjustments. I'm just gonna.
I'll throw this in after.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Got my spot. Club faces at him.
Okay, all set?
All set.
Okay. So it's interesting, you know, do you think you learned from your first experience of aiming left?
I'm
'Cause
sure
that's-
I did.
It's a
I?
little better, isn't it?
I mean, it's still pretty wide left.
Yeah, it's definitely left. So
Okay.
you get my point. Maybe setting up perfect alignment actually doesn't make you line up straight.
Okay.
And so what you got is some sort of bias in your mind. Why do you have a bias? Maybe because you're inside out
Yep.
and you're trying to hit fades. So aiming left helps you hit fades.
Yep. Interesting.
Do you agree?
Yes, I do agree. This is eye-opening because I thought I was actually decent at this because I practice. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, so you image fades and your body's trying to produce fades,
Yeah.
and you're aiming left to do it on the golf course probably.
Yes. But then they're going straight and I'm missing left of the green.
Great.
Okay. Got it. It's all coming together now.
So what I would say is, in the end, it doesn't really matter where you're aimed as long as you're consistent about it.
Yep.
But it is nice to have a benchmark. I'm not anti-alignment rod all the time.
Yep.
I'm just saying, like, understand the limitations of it and understand that it won't teach you aim as well as actually switching targets and putting
Yeah.
the club down at your ground.
Well, the thing that I've gone to the range and switched targets to try to work on aim.
Yes.
The thing I haven't done is test, like
Got
verify.
it. You don't verify.
I just missed this step
Yeah.
where you actually make sure you're doing it properly.
Yeah.
So that, okay.
Yeah.
Simple step
Yeah.
that we can skip.
And particularly if you're consistently a little left or right, but it works for you, it's
Right.
not that big a deal. And going back into our previous discussion about how you release the club, how good could you be aiming right or left? You could be excellent.
Yeah.
So find your own fundamentals if you want to, or just at least know what's going on.
So what's the research? Tell me about what
All right, so the research
that
is, and this is super homemade, but the idea is we're gonna find out, like if I have you at a 0 sort of angle and we pick out a target and I have
Okay.
you at 27 irons, what do you think your dispersion pattern looks like? What's your average miss right or left?
Wasn't it? It's 10%, right? So about 17, or no, 10%. So I hit 7 iron, 185. So it's going to be 19 yards.
Yeah, 19 yards. And that's also kind of like long and short. So if you think
Okay.
about maybe just looking at right and left as we're just kind of, you know, single modality here, you might be 8 or 10 right or left
Okay.
as a pretty good player.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the interesting thing would be if I change your aim, we put this on this and I say you're going to aim 20 degrees left, okay? And
Okay.
we're going to go right over here and we're going to pick out a tree because I don't like aiming at flags. And
Okay.
then you got to go 20 degrees right. And we do the same test with the launch monitor data
Okay.
so that the launch monitor is always zeroed, but you're switching. What do you think the difference would be? You get what I'm talking about? So like switching
Huh.
targets versus a block shot test.
I think it'd get tighter because I'd be having to focus in more and change more.
You would certainly have a very different practice outcome,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think here's my hypothesis, because I've tested people out here.
Okay.
When they set up the same way,
Yeah.
they're much more consistent.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because their ball position's more kind of centered.
Okay.
And they're just more into locking into that target.
Yeah.
So if they had maybe a miss pattern that was like, whatever, we're talking 8 yards off,
Yep.
I would expect it to be at least 50% worse if they're switching targets.
Really?
Yes. Now,
Huh.
if they switch targets every time, which is what I would advise,
Yeah.
you won't see that difference.
Say that again.
So if you practice by switching targets every single time, your dispersion pattern will look almost the same.
As if you're just doing block practice.
Because every time you set up, be like, all right, hey, I'm aiming at this little pink flag. I'm training my brain how to set up to the golf ball with a completely different orientation. The task is much harder. And I'm actually learning something. Whereas if I basically this is like training wheels. And how can you bring training wheels on the golf course? No, you don't. So you're actually taking away your ability to learn how to aim every time you use alignment, or you don't think about it. So that's why I'm a big advocate. Like, unless you're doing mechanics, switch targets every single time. And also don't aim at flags, ever.
Why?
Because you're training your brain bad course management. Every time you do that. Like, just imagine if you're on the range hitting at flags. Now that's literally what you do. But how often should you do that on the golf course? Like when you shot your 79, how many times were you going flag hunting?
No, I mean, it was just trying to pick spots and
you're smart, right?
Stuff like that, right? So yeah, you're right.
So kind of like one of my favorite things was a good competitive player would be like, all right, that's your flag, now aim 5 feet right of it. And then you can pick a tree or a piece of grass, tune into that, but just never aim at flags because you're not doing that on the golf course.
All right.
What do you think?
The brain's spinning now. We've got now I know what to think while I'm hitting a golf ball. Now I realize that I'm not aiming anywhere near where I thought I was. Now I know how I should be practicing that a bit better than I was. Man, I can't believe I was that far open. That is really
That's
disturbing.
Surprising, right?
Yeah.
What percentage of your time do you use alignment rods when you're practicing?
Most of the time.
Got it.
I probably don't take them away enough.
Yeah. Get the training wheels on all the time. Why would you learn how to ride a bike, you know?
Right. How do you combat though that, like, if you go down a tour range, like they all have, everyone has, what's the argument to that?
This is going to be really bold, but they should use them a lot less.
Yeah.
And eventually I think the science will lead that way.
Okay.
Now there's something about having a home base and kind of doing some work with an alignment rod, because if you are pretty consistent day to day, there's an advantage there. But when you're preparing for a tournament, you just need to be comfortable, set up, and be able to aim.
Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm feeling more prepared headed to the next tournament, right? We've talked about our expectations. We've talked about how, well, that's fine. We need to work towards moving the bell curve, but like there's a probability this is going to happen.
Yeah.
We've now have a swing thought that I like. I'm going to aim probably more neutral going forward and not try to hit a fade on every time and like force it.
Yeah.
Right? I think maybe that's what we try to do during tournaments is I'm going to force my shot shape.
You got to embrace what you have in the day a little bit, don't you?
Embrace that more so. And then I'm going to work on my aim a lot. Give me the aiming game that I should do then, or how should I?
Yes, so what I would do is you can pick one club and hit maybe 10 shots with a club or 9 shots and pick 3 or 4 different targets. And then just consistently check it until you can verify you're actually good at it. And so you just literally aim, put the club down at your toes and check. And pretty soon you'll learn the skill.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good formula. Anything else? Any other steps we got to think about? I mean, that's a pretty good list to work on.
Yeah, and then I'm big on gamification and what they call the testing effect. You're familiar with that term, basically. Like everybody should have tests, and that's what we're building in our app too, about that actually are really good, well-designed tests that add variability and context to it. And you basically, every day you go do them. Or every time you go to the range. Like one of my favorites is you go through your targets, and this is where it might be practical to actually aim at flags to test yourself and be like, if I get it within 5%, that's a birdie, 10% would be a par, more than 10's a bogey.
Got it. Okay. We also learned we need to use video. You have a new video app coming. Where can people check? Is there like a place they can check that out?
So this is in beta phase right now. So you got to reach out to us, but it's going to be in the RYP Golf app. It's called Parallax, and it's going to be embedded in there. But what it'll do is you put your phone back there. 2 seconds later, it'll show up here. It'll compare it to Golf Pro. It actually syncs your swing to them, and you can get all the AI measurements. And it's actually, I think, I'm biased, but it's really accurate. It's really good.
It's super dope. I've been using it at home and like put the iPad in front of me, put the phone back there. It's great. Like it's the perfect way to check what I've been doing, which I obviously need to do more of now. We've learned, so we're going to be doing more of that. Otherwise, RYP, we've obviously got speed sticks, all your stuff. RYPGolf.com? Is that the right website? Did it. I nailed that one. Luke, thank you. This is awesome. Thank you for the lesson. I'm ready to go. We got work to do. Got a couple weeks and we're going to go. Crush it. It feels good to have a swing thought.
Yeah, I think you need a plan. Yeah, and just, you know, last thing I'd say is like with RYP Golf, what we're doing more of is trying to educate people and go into coaching more.
Yeah.
Because frankly, like this whole game, all the tools in the world don't help unless you have some good coaching and know how to do it. So.
Yep, and people can get coaching from you.
Yeah,
like
so we're
online,
starting this big coaching project right now. We have, I don't know, we had 280 people reach out about it.
Nice.
And it's using the 7-step plan and kind of building a really good way to work on mechanics using video, and then some good heuristics or rules of thumb about how to practice smart as well.
Awesome, this is great. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah.
You see how I didn't do the awkward handshake and then walk off?
I noticed that.
Do you see I avoided that? It was intentional.
Here it goes.
And he goes for the handshake. Oh! I always do. I always, every video ends with a handshake and then I walk over to the car over there.
Yeah, see ya.